Good evening. I'm Maxine Wilder, Chairman Pro Tem, and I'll be running the meeting tonight for Mayor Sidney Clark. We are having an Olivet City Council meeting on February 8th, 2022, and we are on Zoom, and it is 7:02. Denise?
Councilmember Carl,
Please
Here.
take roll. I'm a little rough.
Councilmember Waldman,
Here.
Councilmember Knox,
Here.
Chairman Weil.
Here.
Item number 2 is communications, and Chairman, we have no written communications.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is the city manager's report.
Thank you. Short and sweet tonight. We have our dashboard. We're going to be talking a little bit about the new community center and park improvements tonight. And as you know, we have a few things on the agenda. We do have our project manager with Navigate, Katie Ahold, as well as another representative with Navigate, Jessica Vaughn, who's joined the team working on these projects. And Beverly Tucker Knight is also on for later. But so if you see anything you have some questions on, we may defer some questions until later on the agenda if they're more appropriately answered by any of those folks. But basically what you're going to see here on this was February 3rd. Things can kind of continue to be running kind of on schedule. You'll notice the soil remediation, we talk about that. That's actually a change that I'm gonna, after I finish my report, I'm going to ask the council to consider adding another agenda item to the agenda. You can see the work that they've done to date. And again, this dashboard is on construction, so it's only on the community center and the wharves and park improvements. It's not on the work that being the engineering work and the bid work that's been done on the other 4 parks. You can kind of see where we're at with the construction project financial summary. We continue to be, in line. And what we try to put there is anticipated contract modifications. A lot of those PCRs you're going to be addressing tonight as proposed change orders. It starts out as a proposed change request. It then becomes a proposed change order. And then once you agree to it, it becomes a full-fledged change order. I've been trying to make up a song like from, like this is a bill, but I couldn't think of anything. So you can kind of see where we're at in the contingency. You can see the anticipated changes in that 200,000. That's the unforeseen conditions allowance. That's kind of more for the site work. And you, as you're aware, that 60,000 is for work that we had to do with regard to remediation of some soil issues on this new community center. We'll be talking about that again a little bit later. Anticipated change orders, a lot of those you'll be seeing tonight. And the pay applications, we remain pretty much on target with the MBE, WBE goals that were set. And the risks kind of remain the same, really hasn't changed much with regard to, the pre-engineered metal building for the facilities, that some of the things that we continue to hear are supply issues. We need to make sure we get the indoor playground here and installed in a timely fashion. We just put out a RFQ for furniture procurement. And what we are doing there, one of the reasons you do that as an RFQ is we're looking for qualifications of a business or a person that can assist us in finalizing some furniture choices. And then we try to use the competitive bid programs or coordinated bid programs. And that is when you have different kind of like similar to how we buy the police vehicles. off the, what we always call it, the state bid. Well, that's just an entity that has gone through a whole bid process, has chosen the lowest and most responsive bidders, and then we are able to piggyback on that. Well, there are other entities and other things that we can piggyback on as well. And with furniture, we try to do that because you're looking at a lot of different pieces, different types, and it's really hard to, if you had to go through and look and make sure that every chair of a certain type and get the lowest bid on that, it would be kind of hard to do that, or to do it as a package, because we don't know exactly what we are getting yet. So that's why we do it as an RFQ. Darren in particular has been working more on trying to finalize some of the IT, what we're going to have in the new community center, with regard to, so to make sure that it's going to be able to handle both the additional uses. We'll have some TVs in the fitness room. We'll have some programs that we'll probably be doing in the aerobics room. We have an esports, and so the what we're going to need for internet is going to be very different than what we currently have. And so Darren's been doing quite a bit of work on that. Fitness.
If I could just ask a quick question. Is Certified Nets involved in all that too? Certified?
Yes. We've been working with Certified Nets, or Darren has been working with Certified Nets, with Charter, with AT&T, and Certified Nets has been pretty helpful with that. And Darren, if you want to add in anything on that, feel free.
Oh, I forgot he was on because he's below
Yeah.
the.
And then the fitness equipment, we've done the selection process. We're kind of finalizing the leasing and the financing of that. We have a little bit more time on that to go. So everything continues to be kind of in order and running pretty well. Nothing too upsetting at this point. Some photos that we have from the site. There's pretty much just a lot of earthwork going on. If you want to go see a hole, you can kind of go out there, or if you want to go see a flat surface, you can go there. And Beverly will talk much more eloquently about how exciting it is to walk down there and to see the construction happening. But it is exciting. The snow obviously did create a little bit of a slowdown for us, but nothing too major here. Staffing update. I kind of mentioned this last time, didn't have photos. Now we have photos. Our new assistant fire chief, Tim Fain, got a photo of him, and our new sergeant, Derek Seltzer. And so those are our new management, as we am very excited to see them in place. It was a odd storm. It wasn't a ton of snow. I mean, it was, for this area, it was a good amount of snow, but it was the ice that came in first, and the winds, and how it the time over the days over which it took. It was a difficult storm to manage, and huge kudos to all of that Public Works and the park workers who were out there clearing and shoveling and doing the hard work. They worked a lot. They were here. I don't know if people always realize that the Public Works folks, they stay overnight so that they can get up at different hours, and they adjust their time over a 24-hour period, so that they may sleep. They'll sleep until it's an appropriate time for them to go out, and they're definitely working the storm and not working the clock. And Bruce McGregor took a couple of those pictures. He had some, it was a pretty storm, that's for sure. But kudos to those. I will tell you, had just a number of compliments from residents and employees who said they could tell when they hit all of that the roads are just so much better. And that was, that's really, that doesn't just happen. That has to be planned. So kudos to the Public Works Parks folks, to the Bruce McGregor, Beverly, Tucker Knight on really managing that situation.
Barb, if I could kind of say on that, kudos to Olivet, because I realized when I left Friday morning, I was leaving a very clean city going into a great big mess. So I recognized it going out that, at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, our streets were getting scraped and the people could get around through Olivet. And again, they do this every year and it is a kudos and we all hear about it.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah. Sorry, I went backwards. Get over here. A little trouble with my screens. Okay, this is just a pretty picture. It's from the top floor of the Oliver. And what you see here, I don't know if you can see, but this Clayton over to the right, and then over on the left side with that beautiful red sunset is St. Louis. So it's kind of cool. I think sometimes we don't remember that Olivet's one of the highest areas, and that's why we have the reservoir, et cetera. But then when you see a picture like this and you kind of can see downtown so clearly and see Clayton so clearly, you kind of realize that. So just kind of a nice picture that was provided to us.
You could see the arch.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's really cool. And then I just want to remind everybody, it's February's Black History Month, and it's really a time to reflect on the history and on the contributions of our Black residents and citizens in the United States. There's also a theme each year. And this year the theme is Black Health and Wellness, and I think it's an appropriate theme given the how COVID and many other illnesses and diseases wreak on really take a large toll on the Black citizens, and so it's kind of an appropriate time. I know our communications manager has been putting out different things on Facebook, and so I encourage people just to take a look at some of those things. The history, it's very interesting, and it's a great opportunity just to learn a little bit more and get a few more facts. We have the pension board was supposed to meet last week. Due to the snow, we didn't, so we are meeting tomorrow. That's not, I have the wrong date on there. I'm sorry. That should be February 9th. I apologize. I'll fix that. It was last Thursday and it should be February 9th. The Planning Community Design Commission is also meeting on the 9th. They too got canceled last week. I'll change those dates for you. The Park and Recreation Commission meets February 16th at 7 p.m. Planning and Community Design meets again on February 17th at 7 p.m. Reminder that city offices are closed in observance of President's Day on February 21st, and that the next regular city council meeting will be February 22nd at 7 p.m. And with that, I just need to get out of here and stop sharing my screen. Okay.
Are there any questions for the city manager? So I would just like, on behalf of the council, to express our gratitude to the Public Works group that so beautifully took care of the storm for us. I also, the pictures you posted, there's also another incredible picture that was posted showing someone inside our new covered, shelter for the salt. And someone was on top of the truck shoveling it up and loading it. And that would be a cool one to post also, because it shows that they weren't just standing out in the cold digging the salt this year. They were actually, it was a very cool, it's a wonderful new coverage and area for these men. And please extend our appreciation.
Thank you.
So next item, number 4, please.
It's city council reports. Oh, actually, I have a request. I apologize. Before we hit on the city council reports, I would request that the council agree by consensus to add an item 7B, approval of Wright Construction proposed change orders, proposed change order 4 and proposed change order 7.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Call for the vote. You're muted.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman,
yes.
Councilmember Knox,
yes,
Chairman Pro Tem,
Yes.
motion passed. Item number 4 is city council reports.
I know for myself, I did not attend a meeting since our last meeting at the end of January. Councilmember Carl, have you?
Yes, I have. I attended the Economic Development Commission. We had our 2 new members, which you all are aware that we elected. It was mainly a discussion of to bring them up to speed on what's going on around the city. And I'll tell you what, when somebody sits down and tells you everything that's going on in construction between all of our various projects along Olive and the parks and everything, when you really think about that, we got a lot going on. So anyway, that was mainly the meeting. I welcome new folks. I think they'll work out great. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Waldman?
Well, as the city manager indicated, the Planning Community Design Commission meeting was postponed due to the weather. And I just learned that we'll be having a meeting on February 9th. So that's my report. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Knox?
I have nothing to report.
Okay, but it is our understanding that you are now going to be the liaison to the pension board?
No. No, the Board of Appeals,
Board, okay, I'm sorry.
Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Board of Adjustments.
Okay, I said that wrong. But I'd like that to be in our minutes so that we know, since that's a new appointment for the new council member. Thank you. Next
Thank you.
item, please.
Next item is number 5, hearing from citizens.
So if there are any citizens present tonight that would like to speak, we ask you to identify yourself and we'll bring you over. And then also, please state your name and your address, and you have up to 3 minutes to speak. Barb, does anyone raise their hand or wish to?
I don't see anyone with their hand raised, and no, I would like just to comment on, I know it seems a little bit, we were having meetings remotely, and so it seems a little bit odd that we canceled meetings because of snow, even though they were being held by Zoom. This was just an abundance of concern on the staff's part to make sure that all the residents have the opportunity, if they want to participate in a meeting, to do so. And we were concerned that if people heard the offices were closed, they would make an assumption that we weren't having meetings as well. And so while we have the technology to do it, we chose not to do it just out of an abundance of care so that no one missed a meeting that they really wanted to participate in or listen to. So just to explain that to folks. And at this point, I don't see anyone with their hands up.
Thank you for the clarification. Item number 6, please.
Resolution number 2022-218, a resolution authorizing and directing the city manager to execute a contract with Hankins Construction for construction services for the park improvements project at Indian Meadows, Villa, Herbside, and Stacy Parks in the amount of $2,789,000. Never mind. $2,789,627.
Okay. I thought I moved people over. I thought I promoted them to panelists. Maybe they're slowly coming.
Here comes Katie.
Katie is here. Beverly, I promoted you. Jessica. We also promoted. There's Jessica. And
Beverly hasn't moved yet.
yeah, she's, the offer's out there. She's, hold on. Please send again.
Here
She
she
should be
comes.
coming now. Here she comes.
Great.
All right.
Sorry, the bubble kept disappearing. I couldn't put my mouse on it.
Well, folks know Beverly Tucker Knight, our Park and Recs Director, and most everybody here knows Katie Ahold with Navigate Building Solutions. Jessica is new to Navigate, but she's not new to the construction world, and she's been assisting Katie on this project, not because we've been causing any trouble by any means, just so you know. And so anyway, what we have is we went out, kind of talks a little bit about, we solicited bid proposals for construction improvements in Indian Meadows, Villa, Irveside, and Stacy Park. So we received 2 different bids, one from Hankins Construction and one from Integra. And after review, we are going to make we're making a recommendation that we go, that we contract with Hankins. But at this point, I'm going to kind of turn it over to Katie. If you want to kind of go through the bid, any specifications, you can see here that we are recommending a couple of alternatives also be approved. And if at any point, Beverly or Darren, who've also been working quite a bit on this project, obviously, if you need to add anything, feel free.
Okay, thanks, Barb. So as Barb mentioned, we did receive 2 bids on the Parks Improvements project. So just as a reminder for everyone, those are the improvements that we're talking about at Stacy Park, Irveside, Villa, and Indian Meadows. So that package, we had actually budgeted around $2.7 million plus $200,000 in contingency. So our goal on bid day was really to come in under that $2.9 million mark, which we did achieve in the bid number received from Hankins. So one thing I want to point out is we did receive 2 numbers on this. There was actually a 3rd bidder in the room at the time bids were due and did not turn in their number. We did also have a couple of other bidders that dropped out on bid day just because there was not adequate subcontractor coverage in a couple of the markets. So not an ideal scenario, but we learned that January was kind of a difficult month in terms of people being out with illness and COVID issues and just staffing up on these projects. But I think the good news is the low bid that we did receive from Hankins is in budget. We did complete bid interviews with both of the companies just to make sure there was nothing that was being missed or that we needed to discuss with the firms. So Hankins is a low qualified bid, and therefore we're recommending award of the contract to them here this evening. As Barb mentioned, there were a few alternates that we were able to add into their contract at this time. The first of those being an upgrade of some of the new pedestrian pathways from asphalt to concrete. Concrete is definitely a preferred material in these cases due to its longevity, its more minimal maintenance, and at the low cost here, those are items we're able to accept and move into the contract at this time. Alternate 5 is also being added to the agreement, which is a seat wall at the Stacy Park Pavilion Plaza. So this is a unique kind of architectural feature that will help enclose the space around the pavilion, kind of demarcate the plaza space itself from some of the pedestrian walking paths, and allow for an opportunity for just kind of casual, comfortable seating. So that is an add of $37,000 that is included in the contract value that we're recommending this evening. There are a few alternates that will be rejected. You can see those listed here. Some of these were some of the more high dollar items. There are a couple of these additional pathways, especially that we're rejecting at this time, but hopeful that with potential savings on contingency dollars or kind of renegotiation on these prices that we may be able to add back into the project at a later time. We did include the bid tabulation summary for you that shows the breakdown of these bids, so there is more information there. The one item I want to point out is that the DBE goal for the project was established at 15%. This is the city's standard goal. And on this memo, we're actually listing the Hankins bid at 12% DBE with the potential to increase as a result of the selected alternates. So just want to point out that that 12% participation was on their base bid, but with the inclusion of the alternates that we mentioned above, they're actually able to increase their participation up to just over 18%. So low bid is achieving more than the 15% goal that we had established for the project. And I'll stop there.
Madam Chairman Pro Tem, I do have a question just for getting perspective. Katie, alternate 1A, upgrade pedestrian pathways from asphalt to concrete at Indian Meadows. Is that through the entire pathway behind Huron, all the way through?
This is just really a small segment of paths. There is the part of the base bid paths are actually concrete already. And then there were a couple connecting paths that kind of head north and east that will later tie into the GRG path. So the GRG path itself will be a separate project from this. That will be concrete. So the materials that we're putting in with the park improvements piece of the project will match that material.
Katie, not everybody listening tonight might not know what the GRG stands for.
Sure. So GRG is the Great Rivers Greenway. It is the Centennial Greenway that will be going in the full length of Indian Meadows Park.
If I could just follow up, Barb, maybe I really misunderstood what I heard. GRG is going to make that walking path through Indian Meadows cement, not asphalt? That was
That's their current, that's currently what they are proposing, yes.
okay, so please forgive me, council. They are proposing concrete, not asphalt, which was the original conversation when we went around talking to homeowners. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful change that I am just becoming aware of. So I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions? Councilmember Waldman, most of the pathway, if you walk it through Olivet and along 170 is concrete. So it will match up and look very nice with what's already existing.
I agree. I understand that. But in the beginning, with all conversations, everything when I asked about the material, it was stretching and moving and telling me asphalt. So that's all. I just wanted to make sure I was awake.
Mhm.
So are there any other questions this evening for either Katie or Beverly? We have been asked that we have a requested action tonight. Would someone like to make a motion?
Madam Chairman Pro Tem, I make a motion to approve resolution 2022-218, a resolution authorizing and directing the city manager to execute a contract with Hawkins Construction for construction services for the park improvements project at Indian Meadows, Villa, Herbside, and Stacy Parks in the amount of $2,789,627.00.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you. City Clerk, could you take the roll, please?
Councilmember Carl,
Not the roll, the vote.
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes,
Chairman Pro Tem,
Yes.
motion passed.
We're really, this is.
I
a
see
kind of-
Beverly over there clapping. So
Yeah.
is this 7A and now we're going into 7B?
No, that was,
Well, that was only 6.
that
That
was
was
6. This is 7A.
So item number 7 is approval of Wright Construction proposed change orders, PCO, PCO1, PCO2, PCO3, and PCO6 totaling $17,428.21 for the Community Center Warson Park Improvement Project.
Am I sharing my screen? Let me share my screen here. Again, we're wrapping in a number of these change orders. The change order number 1, that's the value engineering that we talked about, you know, a number of times, and it's finally kind of coming in. Change order number 2 is various items listed on, there are a number of items listed on the cover page. We can kind of talk a little bit more about that. Change order number 3 was adjustment to the site furnishing specifications and a number of other little things, plumbing connection to washer dryer, emergency fixture changes. And change order number 6 is the addition of the downspout connection to the basin. Before we move on to anything, that just to let folks know how the change order process works. Change orders, they originate kind of with the at the contractor level. They'll see something, and sometimes it's at the subcontractor may see something, and they'll realize that there's a question on how they need to do something. It may even start out as just a request for information. Okay, then there's discussion between the contractor, the subcontractor, our project manager, Navigate, in this case, Katie, as well as the architect firm for KAI. Then they go back and forth. The contractor will then put together proposed changes and get quotes for those changes. Those then will go to again, to the architect, to our project manager. And then before they kind of come here, we also talk about them at our weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings. And so that's when staff has the opportunity to ask various questions of the contractor. Katie is well aware that we also have a lot of other conversations kind of offline on various things. And so these are really pretty well vetted by the time they get here. The council typically is you approve change orders over the amount of $10,000. That kind of is in line with our procurement policies. We do have a negative one in here, and mainly that's in here just because you spent a lot of time looking at that stuff. And so it made sense for it to come back to you, so you kind of see where we are in the end. And I'm sure Katie is happy to answer. She said she was thrilled actually to answer any questions that you might have on any of the potential change orders. And that's also one of the reasons we do ask Navigate and Katie representing them to come, just in case you have a little bit more. They won't be at every time we have a change order. They won't necessarily be here. It happened to work out well tonight. We had the contract, and we also kind of had a lot of change orders at one time, mainly because we've kind of just been working on getting them done, and then just trying to get them to you so we can keep moving.
Can I just get clarification just of, I mean, I'm obviously reading everything with regard to the $64,000 in the parentheses. Are we saying that we are no longer going to do this value added change? Or that we're just acknowledging it as that we've already approved it?
This is the value adding. Yeah, you're doing it. It's a negative change order. So it's the total amount of the actual VE pricing came to a negative $64,613.79.
Okay, and was that not similar to a number that Mr. Mann got some investment money to kind of balance that out? What am I?
Darren?
I knew that was going to come up, but nobody knows about this investment money yet. It's not part of any budget, so.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with those amounts.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Darren, say that again.
No, these have nothing to do with the investment amounts. The investment amounts right now are not part of any of our sources for project. So call it a contingency if you want, but they're not part of the current budgets.
And just to be clear, what they're talking about is investment of some of the bond proceeds and that we'll be getting some interest on prior to the actual needing that money this year. So using our funds before we have to give them away. So I don't know if there are any other questions on any of the change orders.
So at this time, we're only approving the difference of what we've saved.
You're approving, yeah, you're approving the change orders. You're approving change order PCO 1, 2, 3, and 6 with a total, with a sum or a total of $17,428.21.
And that's because it's over 10,000.
That's because each of these change orders,
Was it, okay. very
with the
good.
exception of the I wouldn't have had to bring the negative change order to you, but I like to close circles.
Right.
And I don't even have an iPhone or watch, an iWatch. It just, at some point, somebody's going to ask about it, and this way we can go back and we can say, see, this is when we did that.
That's a good refresher as well, Barb. So I do appreciate it, so that
Mhm.
we can ask and you can remind us again.
I would be happy to entertain a motion if there are no more questions.
Madam Chairman Pro Tem, I make a motion to approve Wright Construction proposed change orders PCO 1, 2, 3, and 6 totaling $17,428.21 for the Community Center Warson Park Improvement Project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call for the vote.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman,
Bear with me. Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Chairman Weil,
Yes.
motion passed. So item number 7B is the approval of Wright Construction proposed change orders PCO 4 and PCO 7 totaling $16,477 and $60,701 respectively for the Community Center Warson Park Improvement Project.
Okay, again, these came in as a result of, we had one of our biweekly meetings this morning. And we were kind of discussing the change orders that were coming before the council. And, we realized that we had just approved, gotten agreement on the change order number 4. And for an amount of $16,477, and the change order number 7, which is for some of the site work. One of the reasons we're bringing this forward, and kind of as the council is aware from the City Hall project, you folks that ended up having quite a few kind of special meetings to do some change orders, to get some change orders approved. It didn't make sense if we could adjust the agenda tonight and you folks are willing and saw enough information early enough to feel comfortable to approve these. It made sense kind of to get them in tonight. The $60,000 for the soil remediation, that's actually been on that dashboard for a while now. We've talked about that. And the PCO 4 is for it's for AV equipment, or it's for the installation of the AV equipment, and getting that done kind of allows Wright Construction to talk with his subs and able to kind of get the work scheduled and on everybody's radar. I don't know, Katie or Beverly or Darren, if there's any additional information that you'd like to add to these change orders. With the exception, I will add something. The change order 7, the $60,701, that's coming out of that 200,000 site work. Okay, so that's that we had budgeted already. So that's not it's not necessarily adding to the cost of the project, because that 200,000 is in there. because we put that, Navigate suggested we put that in there for these. We all know when you're working in the soil, you don't know what you're going to come up against. That's kind of your highest risk. Once you get kind of everything built and then you're moving up from the soil, your risks become a lot lower. And so that's why that money was in there. And that's also why I'm not doing these as a total change order, but asking you to approve the change orders separately with their own dollar amounts attached. Now, Katie, if you want to, anything else I need to add to that or clarify?
No, I think that was good. Just, yeah, again, pointing out the reason we put that unforeseen site conditions allowance in the contract is because we know it's hard to predict exactly what will happen in the soil. So the remaining balance of that is about $139,000, which will remain available for any other unforeseen conditions. An example I'll throw out there is when we get in construction on the new maintenance facility, we may have a similar condition where we're required to do some additional soil remediation. So that money will still be available for future needs.
And I believe, Katie, the issue really was compaction. Was that the issue on this?
Yeah, so we had the geotechnical borings done on the site when we were in design. There were a couple of things that were identified. One was kind of the undocumented fill that was there from the former ice skating rink, and not knowing exactly what we'd find in the soil that they used to backfill when that was demolished. And then the second was actually some fatty clay. So when that type of soil is present, it can be highly expansive and can kind of cause settlement issues or expansion and contraction in your soil and lead to concrete cracking and things like that. So those are the types of things that we found when we got in to actually start that work that were remediated as part of this cost.
Are there any other questions for Katie or Barb or Bev?
I do. I accidentally lowered down this document that you sent us, Barb, that's on screen now that you're in control of. Katie, what are we getting in the AV $16,000? What is that? Is that framing, construction, conduit to get the wiring in? Is it everything, all kit and caboodle? What is that?
Sure. So that's a good question. So during design, we talked about the potential types of AV systems that would be installed in locations like the multipurpose room and then also the aerobics and fitness room. To procure that equipment, we actually went through an RFQ process and selected an AV specific vendor and design team to help us finalize those decisions. So the equipment purchase is actually under a separate contract. And the cost you're seeing here tonight is just what you mentioned. It's the conduit, it's the wiring, it's the installation of those individual items. So the one thing I want to point out is a cost here, as we finalized the AV system, we actually added in a speaker system and more than we had originally anticipated in the multipurpose room. I think Barb had a note on her cover page that the installation of some of these items will be a little bit more difficult and require some additional attention because we are installing them in that wood slat ceiling. So there's just some additional care that needs to be done there. So the cost, the $16,000 for the AV requirements is representative of those items.
And given the design of those wood plats, because I'm just thinking that was this is a wow moment. I don't want to remove, but I could be wrong. The special, I'm going to just call it special construction, is to make sure that while we have this beautiful look and wood, people will not be able to see the conduit, the AV, and the other things. They're going to basically see the wall or the ceiling. And okay, I appreciate that. Okay, thanks for that. I was curious on that.
Are there any other questions? Barb, since we do not have this on our agenda, can you put it back up on the screen so whoever chooses to make the requested action can do so?
I wanted to just make a very quick comment. Missy, those were excellent questions. You will see the speakers in the ceiling of the multipurpose room. They're very low profile. They'll be cut into the wood ceiling, which is one of the reasons there's an expense for that. But then they'll be nestled up inside of it and they will be black. So they'll help to kind of help your eye not see them in the overall look of the room. But when you are sitting at a table at an event, and if you look straight up, you will see speakers, and there'll be a couple little places where you'll see maybe a little sprinkler head or something similar to the council chambers now, but they will be, for the most part, flush and tucked away.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Bev. That's helpful. Are there any other questions? Would anyone like to make the requested action?
Madam Chairman Pro Tem, I ask for motion to approve of Wright Construction proposed changes PCO 4 and PCO 7 totaling $16,477 and $60,701 respectively for the Community Center Washington Park Improvement Project.
Is there a second?
I second.
Please call for the vote.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman,
Unmute.
Wow, it's really been tough today. Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Chairman Weil,
Yes,
motion passed.
great, thank you.
Okay, and before Katie, you get off, would you like to introduce Jessica?
Sure. So as Barb mentioned, Jessica is new to the Navigate team, but not new to construction. So her background is actually more on the general construction side of things. So we have brought her over to our team to help with more of the field supervision and oversight of the day-to-day construction activities. So she's been a great asset and support of the team, and we're very glad to have her. So
Welcome
thank you,
aboard.
Jessica.
Yeah, thanks for taking the
Welcome.
time tonight, Jessica, too, to, I always like for the council to know kind of who's working on it.
No, thanks for having me.
Okay.
Welcome aboard. Is there,
Okay, I'm gonna move Katie and Jessica back to attendees, and then I'm going to Beverly, if you just want to stay, because we only have one item in between, and that reduces the chance of me losing you. Thank you, folks.
should we just go to item number 9 and then come back to 8?
Oh, no, because we have Joelle's on for.
Okay, okay.
And I'm gonna bring over Joelle Aguirre, and then you can tell me how bad I did it. And Bruce McGregor, I got that one. So as the council is aware, we've been talking with extending services, our service agreement with Allied Services, doing business as Republic Services. We have before the council tonight is a 5-year extension. The contract calls for no increases in the first year, and just so everyone remembers, the contract starts July 1 of this year. And there's no increases from July 1 of 2022 to June 30th of 2023. Wow, doesn't that sound like a long time away from now? And then for next year's, we have a cap of 3.5 and a floor of 1%. And we'll be basing the increase on the CPI US trash, water, and sewer. Another change of this is the person 65 years and older will receive a discount of 30%. Currently, that discount is 10%. That's a significant savings. We've worked with, and I kind of talk about Joelle kind of like Cher, because everybody kind of knows it's who she is. She's our, she is our Republic Services representative and has been with us for a few years now, right? Yep, 3 years now.
And have you ever been compared to Cher before?
Never, but I do like to sing. Anybody wants to go karaokeing, I'm in.
And I also want to let folks know that Paul Martin also has reviewed the agreement. And at this point, Joelle or Bruce or Paul, if there's anything you'd like to add to the presentation, now would be the time to do it. And then we'll open it up to questions from the council.
Well, I would just like to open it up if anyone has any questions for me. We would be thrilled to extend our partnership and that no charge, no price increase in year one. I am just thrilled to give that to you. As you all know, the pandemic has just changed the way we all do business, and prices have gone up. And I was so excited that my team and our area leadership listened to what a great partnership that we have and the good service that we have and all of that. So I will open it up to you. Barb, hit the highlights.
Bruce, anything you'd like to add? Bruce was critical in the review of the current, and really what we tried to do with this extension is, and one of the things moving forward that we're going to be trying to do is really get out the information to the residents, the benefits that we have with, and so people are taking advantage of the contract, because we're paying for the services, they're paying, we're paying, the 30% discount for residents 65 years and older. That's a 30% discount on the resident side and on the city side, and as well as bulk collection and that. And so Bruce was really was an important player in this and kind of identifying needs and also things that are working really well. So Bruce, I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
No, also that we've had a little pivot with services in the parks this year. And I think we've tried to anticipate a lot of fun use at the new community center and how park staff is going to adapt with their own maintenance facility, their own building and their needs there. So I think we did a good job inventorying what we do and anticipating the future, which is lots of good progress by our staff.
So I would like to ask a question. Well, let me see. Are there any other council members that have questions?
I do, but I bet mine's exactly like yours. So I will
No,
let
you
you
go
ask
first.
first.
No, I
Okay.
forgot I was leading.
I was waiting too. So 2.5 years of working at home under a pandemic, I've heard, seen, and watched a whole lot of stuff. And Joelle, one of those things is the rough use of our containers with your equipment. So my question goes to the trash container replacement. Is there going to be a charge to the citizens when they have to call and ask for a new or an upgraded container because it's either cracked, the wheels are broken off of it, the lid has broken off? What's our understanding with y'all with regards to the containers, Joelle?
Great question. And there is no charge to a resident if we damage the cart at all. So whether that it falls into the hopper, the everything that you just said, normal wear and tear is covered. So no charge on those instances. There's a charge if a resident wants an additional container, but no, if it damages normal wear and tear, we replace that at no charge.
Okay, great. And yeah, I am one of those additional $15 containers. So I do appreciate it. Thank you for the clarification, putting it on the
Welcome.
record.
Great question.
All right.
My question is more about large item pickup. I know that one of the things I learned was that you don't have to wait for bulk pickup. You can do it once a month on the last day of the month. And you can put one or two, you can put some items out. I think that's also something that we need to make sure that our residents are aware of. And I think when we talk about it, how we're going to market and educate, how we're going to educate people, I think this is really important. Will that be weekly or once again at the end of the month?
So bulk collection, the city's done a good job of taking care of their residents. So each resident can set out up to 2 items once a month on their last service day. On top of that, the city still has the once a week curbside collection which is, I believe, the 3rd week in April, where residents place bulk items out at the curb and we come by. So they can do 2 a month and then they get that 1 whole week. So that stays the same. There's no change in either of those services.
Excellent. Are there any other questions?
Yes,
Councilmember Knox?
yes, I have a question, probably for Beverly. Do we, I noticed that there isn't a dumpster at Stacy Park anymore. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. So that dumpster at Stacy Park was there for park operations only, for city use. And over the years, the doors on it broke and residents started filling it up. And it became an issue every week with our crews having to spend several hours to clean up the garbage that's on the ground. People were putting trash in the recycling and it became just untenable. We tried education, we tried talking to people that were trying to drop off, we put signs up and we could not get compliance. So we've removed it. And we do get a lot of calls from residents asking us where their personal dumping spot has gone. And we explained that it was never intended for public use. And Joelle's been great in giving us the language to share with people when they call in to tell them how they can arrange to have things picked up at their home.
Well, thank you. I thought that was the problem. I just wanted to reassure that that's what it was.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we will not return dumpsters to Stacy Park following the renovation. So we are now disposing of trash in other places.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Councilmember Carl, and I believe that's all of us. Okay. I'd be happy to entertain a motion.
I'm gonna let somebody else do it.
Missy,
Madam Pro Tem, I motion to approve resolution number 2022-219, a resolution to amend the solid waste services agreement with Allied Services LLC, doing business as Republic Services for 5-year period ending June 30th, 2027.
is there a second?
I second. I'm not giving up my my second. Thank you. I second it.
I appreciate that.
Before we call for the vote, I do have one more question for Joelle, or does it need to wait?
Go ahead.
With the seniors, will they automatically be, the people that have already signed up for the 10%, will they automatically roll to the 30?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes,
Councilmember Waldman,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes,
Chairman Weil,
Yes,
motion passed.
Great.
great, thank you. Joelle, it's
Thank
been a
you very
pleasure.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's good to see you. Good
Yeah,
to see you. All
absolutely. All right, guys, then I'm signing off. Barb will be in touch.
right,
right.
take
Thank you
care.
very
Be
much.
safe.
See you,
Be
Joelle.
safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 9.
Item number 9 is the.
Before you get rid of Bruce McGregor,
Actually, Bruce can stay on because this is a mowing contract and he'll be on for the next thing. So if you just want to stay on, Bruce, that's fine.
okay, but Bruce, I noted, I'm gonna do a little editorializing. I noticed that you joined after the city manager's report tonight. And I just want you to know that Barb, the city manager, Barb Sondag, sang the praises of Olivet Public Works and the coordination with the Parks and Rec with for the snow removal. And on behalf of the council, I did as well. And I know that my council members joined me, and just really, the way it was handled this past week was, it was like a well-oiled machine. And the comment was, and Barb said she heard it, but we heard it as well, that when you drove into other communities and you drove into Olivet, there was a major difference.
Well,
and it was a positive difference. So thank you.
thank you very much. I'll definitely pass it on to the crew. Everybody worked well, and again, to the parks folks were in late at night taking care of sidewalks and city center and everything. So it took a whole team, and it worked out. So I appreciate that very much.
So, hey, Bruce, when you did a lot of good work upgrading your office space down in your hood now, we learned, Miss Sondag told us that sometimes, you know, the folks are staying overnight. You've got a nice little resting space that you put into your building to accommodate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so I don't know if everybody knew this, but prior to my starting, and really took me a few years, the guys slept in the trucks. So if they stayed in overnight, they just like curled up on the seat of the truck and slept in the truck. So we've converted what were the inspector offices and some other spaces into sleeping quarters with cots and a couple beds I brought in from home, and Walt brought in a mattress, and we have the shower and the kitchen. So and sometimes really that shower is the best thing. That's sort of, you know, symbolic of washing away the stress, but it really created a space for the guys to decompress and rest in between periods of snow, because they came in Tuesday night at midnight and they didn't leave till Thursday night, I think between 10 and 11 p.m. So it was a long time to be away from home and in and out, but we wouldn't have been able to get staff here because the roads were so bad, and like I said, it gives them a good time to decompress. Works out well.
Kudos for your doing a little bit of rehab there, and I know your son helped you as well, so give him appreciation as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, item number 9.
All right, well, good evening, council. Beverly Tucker Knight, Parks and Recreation Director. I'm here this evening with our annual mowing contract. Thanks, Barb. So we put out our RFP for our mowing, and when we do the mowing RFP, we sign a contract that allows us to do a rollover if we've had satisfactory service from our vendor. This year, we could have rolled over, but we chose not to because we did have some difficulties with our vendor last year. So that's why we went out to bid a little bit sooner than we would normally do so. We had an excellent response. We had 7 qualified responses, and you can see on the spreadsheet there was quite a spread in cost. We did know coming into this that we'd probably be facing higher costs, as Joelle mentioned, that, you know, things are costing more now. The difficulty we had last year was that the company that we had selected was the lowest bidder. They're a very large company. They service a lot of areas, but they did not get their workers through the visa program. Most of their workers come in from another country. So they called us to tell us that they were canceling many of their contracts, and they dramatically reduced what they were going to be able to do for us. And that's, as you know, unacceptable for us. So we had to go back to our previous mowing company and bring them on at additional expense to take care of the areas that our company was unable to fulfill. That worked out very well. It did cost us a little more, but one of the reasons it worked well is that we have a fantastic relationship with this company that used to be our mowing company until they lost it because they were not able to provide services as economically as the larger vendor. So when we went out to bid again this year, we took that into account. So Barb, if you could scroll down a little bit. When we evaluate that there we go. When we evaluate our RFPs, we have a list of criteria that we look at, and we really paid close attention to that this year. So, you know, number one, we want to make sure that everyone is in compliance with the RFP, that it's complete, it's accurate, they've responded on time and correctly filled out all of their forms. The next thing we're looking for is we want to make sure that they've experienced with similar projects, that they've done mowing with cities of our size and our complexity. And although we are a little bit on the smaller sides of the city, we have a tremendous amount of parkland and we have lots of small areas, and our mowing is very complex. So you need a company that has large machines as well as small machines and has an adequate staffing that they can adjust to that. And added to that, we also do right-of-way clearing. And we have athletic fields that have to be mowed specifically during playing seasons at a shorter length. So there's all sorts of complexity that comes along with this, and they have to find our spots. So all of you know that we care for the pathway that goes through from Oka Stakes through to Dealman, but we also mow areas that are still part of that right-of-way where we don't have the pathway. So it becomes very difficult for the crews to find those locations and to take care of them adequately. Then we also want to know what other contracts does the agency have? Do they have the time with their crews to service us, or will we be set aside for someone else who has a higher or lower priority? And that's really what we ran into last year. The company didn't have enough crew, so we were not their biggest client. So we became very low down on the totem pole, which is why we had to go out and bring in supplemental assistance. Then we check their references, and then we look at the cost. So based on all of that this year, we are recommending to return to Vote Lawn Care. They're a local company. Their headquarters are in the Indian Head Industrial Park, just over the border in the unincorporated area. So they're in the 63132 zip code. They have a dedicated crew that have been with them for a long time, and we will be their biggest client. So although they are not the cheapest, we are very confident that we will not end up in the same situation that we had last year, and that they will give us a quality product throughout the entire growing season. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this.
I'll
Are there
go.
any questions for, are there any questions for Beverly Tucker Knight?
I do.
Okay.
go for it.
So as I'm looking on my sheet, that is the 2022 mowing RFP bid tabulations, besides what I'm seeing as mowing annual costs, which Voight has at 83,720. There's a right-of-way clearing, 8 hours, 3 people, 4 hours, 3 people for clearing, vegetation, brush, removal. Are these additional fees and charges that we will have, or are they just showing what the rate is, and the total for what they do for us for a year will be the 83,720?
Again, excellent question. So the 83,720, that's our baseline to complete all of our mowing of all parks, our pathways. We take care of the traffic circles coming off the highway of 170, all of the little bits and bobs and places around the city. That's 100% of that mowing. The right-of-way clearing is a separate item. That's an area that's funded in our operation budget, and each year we budget some money based on the contract for additional work. And this is when they come in and may do clearing along an area that has a retaining wall or has a traffic buffer, or perhaps there's an island that needs to be cleaned up that isn't normally mowed. We've also used them to clear honeysuckle in areas where we can't put volunteers. So we want to lock in an amount that we can call on when we have those other tasks that need to be done. And so that is separate from that contract. And then that way, when we are budgeting and we have targeted areas we need to do, or if something crops up, something that we didn't anticipate, then we have a scale with which to figure out, can we afford to do it? And if so, how much can we do? So it's a tool for us for calculating additional jobs.
All right, I
And
appreciate.
Public Works can also call this company and use them as well.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you much.
Sure.
Are there any other questions?
That does bring up another good point, and I just wanted to share that we talk a lot about through the Parks Master Plan, one of the goals of that plan was to reduce mowed areas. And one of the reasons is because of the cost. It is our most expensive contract that we have in the Parks and Recreation Department. And you can imagine if our crew had to mow this, that would be all they would be doing and nothing else would get done. So that push we have in the park master plan to reduce invasives, to reduce mowed turf areas, cost is one of those drivers for that, in addition to the fact that, grasslands are the worst thing you could possibly have in your home or in your parks. But that's exactly one of the reasons.
Are there any other questions, Councilmember Carl or Councilmember Knox?
No.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Madam Chairman Pro Tem, I motion to approve authorizing the city manager to enter into a one-year contract with Voight Lawn Care for mowing with an option for 2 one-year extensions.
Okay, Councilmember Knox,
I second.
thank you. Can you call for the vote, please?
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Chairman Weil,
Yes,
motion passed.
Thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Beverly. It's always refreshing, always refreshing.
Thank you. I am going to bid you adieu.
I do.
And then we'll get scheduled for that tour that we got canceled because of the bad weather.
Absolutely.
Okay,
So,
great.
Please email me some dates that would work for you next week, and
Beautiful.
we'll
Okay.
get something on the books.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item number 10 is the discussion of the American Rescue Plan Act.
I believe Barb's going to tee that up for us.
Where am I at on that? Yes, sorry, I apologize. At the work session last week, I was gonna bring Carlos over if that's okay. It's kind of just been a cozy night for bringing people over.
Red Rover, send Carlos right over.
So last week at the work session, we went over a number of different ideas that staff had for utilization of the ARPA funds. And as the council is aware, these are the American Rescue Recovery funds, and they will. The city is set to receive about 1.58 million. We have a number of plans. One, as we talked about last week, one of our goals was to kind of maximize the monies that we were getting by leveraging other funds. We looked at a variety of items, presented those, and I believe the council spoke a little bit more about private streets. I did not have a chance to get the written kind of history, current status, et cetera, of NIDS done. So I will get that done. I had a couple other things come up that took my time from that. And I think there were a couple of other ideas, and I believe the idea was the council would kind of think about it over this last week. Happy to hear any additional thoughts you might have, if there's additional work that you'd like us to do. But really my main goal is to schedule a special work session for this. And I was hoping that I've talked with Chairman Pro Tem, and we were wondering if people would be available next Tuesday at 7:30. Bruce was not able, I don't know, he had something about snow or something last week, I'm not sure. But he is here also tonight in case you have any other lingering questions from last week that you wanted specifically to ask Bruce. But main thing is, one, any other ideas, anything else you want us to look into before now and hopefully next week? And would folks be available next week at 7:30?
I'll say right now that I've already committed to a dinner next Tuesday, but it may not make Tuesday, depending. So, but I said it's Tuesday, I'll go. So, that's where I am. So,
Okay. The issue, we've talked about other nights. Wednesday night is park, Thursday night, you have a planning commission, right, Carlos?
Correct.
Yes.
And so that was part of.
And the following Monday is President's Day and the city center is closed. And then we're back to Tuesday, the 22nd, and we wanted to try and have this conversation prior to our next meeting.
I hate to do this, but I mean, the alternative night was possibly the next night. So anyway, I will be free one of the other nights if you want.
So, okay. Are you comfortable if you're the only one that can't make it of us
Yes,
moving
I'm
forward?
comfortable. I will leave my thoughts with someone else.
Okay, that would be excellent.
Good.
Okay,
I'm glad to hear you'll
so
leave
we
your
will-
thoughts.
We will check with the mayor and Councilmember Waldman and Councilmember Knox. Does the 15th work with you?
Yes.
It works for me and I appreciate 7:30 because Tuesdays are a very, very busy day for me. So I could use that extra half hour. I do want to ask a couple questions right now
Great.
because I put down some notes last time. I started to speak and then I didn't. And right now I can't find my notes. So I just want, I'm looking at the page. I'm looking at my own screen here, Barb, not anything you have, but it's the page that you list the entire amount of the $1,486,100. This is the same list that you presented to us last conversation.
Yes.
Nothing was changed or altered from the conversation we briefly had last time. Is that correct or no?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's
And
correct.
so-
It's the same presentation.
Okay. Okay. And so it is right now when I'm looking at this is the city's staff looking at everything because you guys work the city every day. And these are the conclusions you're coming to is where you think the best use of the money would go for the city,
These are-
including sharing opportunities.
These would be our thoughts, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that. All right. Thanks. Clear for me. Okay.
Barb, can you say that the total amount that we have that we're allowed to utilize?
1.58.
1.58. Okay, I wrote it down. 1.58.
And I know I asked a question about broadband because that's part of where this money goes. And I think I said I didn't see broadband on this list, but this list is really short and tiny to my eyes right now. And it's beginning
Right.
to hurt me just a little bit. So is broadband in here? Remind me why we did or didn't after I asked about that.
We didn't really see where we might utilize
Okay.
broadband without there being a kind of an ongoing cost.
Mhm.
You know, we've now Darren, do you want to, if you want to speak to this or?
To me, I think it's kind of
Before you-
simple.
Before you go on, can I clarify? Because broadband's a really broad topic.
Right.
That's right.
We're talking about providing broadband to the city, not to city property or
Mhm.
something like that. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so I just want everyone to be clear on that this would be something that, would rival your AT&T or Charter service. So anyway.
So if it rivals, then there's no need. That's basically what you're saying here, Greg, right? Am I
No,
onion
I'm just
peeling?
saying, I'd be all for us putting broadband that maybe
got it.
works better and faster and cheaper, and
Okay.
I'd be all for it if we can afford it. I mean,
Gotcha.
It kind of goes back to that idea of be careful using the money to start a new project.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So I went back and spent some time looking over this list and I thought we were gonna have to eliminate some. So with the amount of money, we could do everything on this list if we voted as is.
You could. We could talk further about other things or redistributing or whatever. And again, remember that part of what we want to do is get better numbers too, and flush these out a little bit better. But there wasn't any sense, and it's fine for us. We can start working on that and doing that. And we just didn't want to go, we didn't want to do it for everything. And then there'd be an idea back from the council that would use the money for something else that we had, that didn't make sense. So we were kind of looking more for where was council thinking, where were you wanting to go? And again, like I said last time, it's easier to edit something than from everybody to start with a blank page.
Right. Well, I did a lot of thinking about this and brainstorming, and I didn't come up with anything that was as I don't want to call all of these exciting, but a lot of them are just necessary at this point in time for with the development and the growth, with some of these streets and some of these projects. But the only thing I came up with, I think that the city manager would choke me over. No, I'm kidding.
Was what?
Joke.
Okay.
But I think that, we're because we're putting money into the parks right now, and we're putting money into all these other things, that this list is really a collaborative effort. And really, there's things that we've been wanting to do for years that we would finally be able to do.
Yeah, like Greg and I agreed last week, and Greg pointed it out initially, there's some things here for software, 10 grand, 11 grand, 13 grand. I'm going off the top of my head right now, that I would just say no brainer, just do it now, so yeah.
Now, I would propose specifically, Missy, that we do capital planning, inventory, implement management for 5,000. I feel like I'm playing Jeopardy here. Planning software investment, example, Bluebeam for that total price there, which is a little over 10.
Yeah.
And planning data management business license collection 10,000.
Yeah.
The motion, I mean, I will just assume let's just move, because those I think will.
Yeah, I would prefer if
We
you
can't
could
do it
allow us
tonight.
to allow us time to firm those numbers up again. But again, we have the funding, so we can do these things right away. So.
And we don't have to, we can do them in step pieces, right?
Oh, yeah.
We don't have to do it.
I would say if we go back to our budgeting, we really don't have any authority to spend this money right now. So it's gonna start with this kind of list here. We're gonna go through a budget amendment before we actually spend any of it. And then we'll see the contracts and the actual implementation if we need them according to that policy.
Okay.
So you need authorization from us before you can go back and ask for the money to be given to you. Is that what you're telling me?
The council would need to appropriate the funds through a budget amendment.
Mm-hmm. And then you go get the money from the county handing it over, or we already have the money?
No, we have the money, so the revenue's there, but we don't have any authority. The only authority we have to spend money comes through the appropriation at that council level, which Econ has those procurement policies that are come into play there.
Thanks, Darren.
So we will hopefully have it. Enough of us can meet next Tuesday night at 7:30. Barb can post for a special meeting. And then we can move forward with this conversation, and she'll bring back to us more information about some of the ideas that we did have, so that we can hopefully by the meeting on the 22nd make some recommendations.
Sounds great. I appreciate.
This is exciting. It's exciting.
It's very exciting. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Look at Carlos. Look how excited he is.
He looks like he's frozen. So it is exciting. So are there any other, where are we? Number 11? I've lost
Yes.
count. Number 11.
Number 11 is hearing from citizens, part 2.
I have moved all the attendees to panelists, so we have nobody here.
So,
So none.
so there are none. I do just have one comment that I shared with Barb prior to the meeting. So I think this is just as good of a time to bring it up. I've requested that the communications gets the word out about people who live, not just residents, but also businesses, that if there is sidewalk in front of your home or your residence or your business, that reminders that they are responsible for plowing or shoveling their sidewalks. I think that that's really imperative for the safety in our city and for people to be able to get around safely. So,
I'll be passing that on.
Well, if you're gonna go there, I'm gonna go somewhere else. In my neighborhood, there are cars that don't move out of the street. And our guys do a great job, because it's kind of like when I worked in radio. When I hear my boys and girls, I get up and I look and I smile and I say thank you. They don't see me, they don't hear me, but it's wonderful. And I've asked this question before, and I just don't know whether we really are still just giving people warnings verbally over and over and over and over and not ticketing. Because I have one offender every year. Every
they
year.
ticket,
Huh?
they are ticketing, and they even put the tickets in little plastic Ziplocs. And I believe one of the things that our communications director even did was before the storm, like a few weeks before the storm.
She does it every year. But my
She put
neighbors,
out information about the people who have cars that are parked on the street, that they can go to City Hall and apply for stickers for the back windshields of their cars. And that way those get plowed in and people and are not ticketed.
why? That's another conversation another day.
No,
What is there an exception for?
No, they can apply for the permit only. And then the police has to go out and take a look to see if they qualify to have a permit. If they can put their cars in the driveway, then they don't get the permit.
Thank you for the clarification.
So I'm just saying, I see every year that I have a neighbor that repeatedly doesn't move their vehicle, and I don't know whether they're getting cited.
There's more than one.
I'm sure, Bruce, but I think we're overly kind. And I think we're overly kind sometimes. And you guys got to be out there and you got to do what you do. And if people want to appreciate what Olivet does on its streets, we the citizens, and you beat it into us, and through media, through the newsletters, and every which way but loose. And it still is a scratch the head, and it's an encumbrance to you guys being able to do your job.
Yeah. And Barb, I'm not sure if you can ask the chief if they've issued any.
We can find out.
If
Sure,
they've
we
issued
can
any
we can
summons?
find out how what happened over the last storm.
Or the court clerk, whoever.
Yeah.
No.
Any other comments from the citizens and the council members? Okay, next item.
Item number 12 is review and approval of minutes.
Did anyone see any corrections or anything?
And out of town, I didn't look.
Okay,
I didn't see anything.
I did not either. You wanna make a
Madam Chairman
motion?
Pro Tem, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 25th, 2022, and the minutes from the work session of February 1st, 2022.
Second,
Sorry, chief.
Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldman,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
yes.
Chairman Weil,
Yes.
motion passed.
So before we get to Paul's report and maybe go to closed session, I have a quick question.
Did you approve for the February 1st meeting too, or just the council meeting, Greg?
We did both.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Which is today an email came in from Evan Tran. It came to me. I just figured this was the easiest way to see if it came to everybody, and
I don't know. I haven't looked at my emails at the
he was
city
the
yet
person that talked to us last week when we passed the ordinance about
on the pool thing. Yeah.
pool stuff.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Okay. No, we
All
did not.
right. All right. That lets me know what to do, that I'll forward it to Sydney. And okay.
Next
If you could
item.
Copy me on that too, that'd be appreciated.
Sure.
Thank you.
He's
Our
just
next
asking
item-
for help as far as how he could get the ordinance changed. So,
Mhm.
Next item, please.
Item number 13 is the city attorney's report.
Okay, I've got a couple of things, couple of updates on, just want to let you know where we stand on the litigation to get Price Road declared a public road. As council's aware, this was an effort to ensure that the new apartment development off of Alice is also going to have access to Price. And as a condition of that, we need to get it declared public without any equivocation. Some of the underlying property records show that the road is still private, and we need to get that clarified. And where we are right now is the hope was that this was going to be basically a friendly suit, and all of the property owners adjoining Price Road who have been named defendants would essentially agree that we were correct and it is a public road, and they were all going to say yes, and it was going to be a nice, easy process. There were more of these than I anticipated, but the majority of them, the significant majority of them, have indicated that they are going to consent. We anticipated that the railroad was not going to consent just because it's the railroad and they're not generally cooperative. So we are going to have to serve them with the lawsuit. CVS surprisingly hasn't been cooperative either, but they're a big company and they're kind of like the railroad in terms of getting to the right person to make a decision. So we're going to have to serve CVS as well. We've got two property owners who haven't cooperated yet, but we have had discussions with them and are hopefully mildly optimistic that they are going to consent, and we're not going to have to worry about getting them served. We do have one property owner who has moved to the Ozarks, and we do not know where that person is. And it's going to be essential that we try to get them served as well, so that we can present this to the judge as a complete package. We've got some motions tomorrow, preliminary motions to get all of these things approved and to get service issued on the property owners that we know we're going to have to serve. And we should be rolling tomorrow and have no difficulty getting this done by the December deadline. I don't anticipate it's going to be way before that, perhaps as early as May, but obviously it's difficult to predict. So that's where we are right now. On the speech case, today was hand down day for the Missouri Supreme Court. Our case was not on it. The next hand down is next Tuesday. The court has generally two hand down dates every month in which they hand down decisions, and it's not regular. So for instance, in March, it's going to be the 1st and the 15th, I think, if those are Tuesdays. But it's just sporadic. And then April, it's going to be like the 2nd, the 5th, and the 26th. So we just have to wait and see. And that hasn't changed. We've had to do a lot of waiting and seeing with that case. Finally, I believe the council is aware of this, but I think it's important to let you know. We've talked about proper cannabis possibly coming into the city. Generally speaking, this kind of a use would be a permitted use in the district, but we have the ability to require a special permit if there are any issues that need to be considered or addressed. And it's our understanding that they're in the process of preparing that application for submission to the city. It'll go to PCDC after that. And I believe they have
Is that with the
also-
Southern Comfort Building? Is that
Yeah.
for the guys with the Southern Comfort Building?
Yeah.
We beat out Wentzville? Good, okay.
And they
We're
have.
still working on things.
Yeah, that's, I wouldn't say we beat out Wentzville, but that's where we are right now. And they have reached out to the Arrowhead trustees as a part of this process. So wanted to let you all know that in case you got some feedback from any residents. I don't think that we have any need for a closed session tonight, and happy to address anything the council might want to raise.
Are there any questions for Paul Martin?
If I could just ask, is Carlos still on here or no? Did Carlos go
Yeah, he's
bye-bye?
here.
Okay. So Carlos, way back when we had to begin to deal with cannabis law and implementation, it was basically we cannot put limitations. It's pharmaceutical. We have to look at this as a pharmacy kind of a business. And my recollection is that then meant that we couldn't have a special permit use opportunity, or we still could.
Well, under our zoning law,
Yeah.
we have that opportunity. The state regulations really don't have anything to do with the zoning.
Okay.
So we're okay there.
Okay. Okay. Appreciate it.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mr. Martin. I'll be more formal. Next item is
I move to adjourn.
adjourn. Okay, is there a second?
I second.
All right.
Missy almost beat you to it.
I was
Call for the
waiting.
vote.
I was waiting. I was watching. I had some trouble hitting that unmute tonight too. I get that.
Call for the vote, please.
Oh, there's no vote on that one. That's the good thing.
Okay, well then I say thank you to everyone for a good meeting. Have a
All right,
good
thank-
night.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone.
Take care. Thank you. Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Right.